I was hidden in a rental car parked outside a stranger's house, stalking my boyfriend. Not my finest moment. And this wasn't the first time I'd suspected he was cheating, but this time I had to know. He'd spent years convincing me I was crazy, that my gut instincts were just paranoia, that I was a jealous maniac with a wild imagination and no grip on reality. And for a long time, I believed him. So this week, Mars is entering Libra, and it's an excellent time to look at our relationships. I'd grown up with a mentally ill mother who'd gaslit me all the time, and I'd never been able to trust my own perception of reality. My gut was always wrong, or so I had come to believe. So when my boyfriend said I was overreacting, I doubted myself. When he wormed through even the tiniest crack in my clarity, I'd let him off the hook and turn my fears into shame. And this is the shadow side of Libra, right? Not trusting ourselves in the face of our relationships and what our relationships are telling us, right? So that night, I waited all night, and at dawn, I saw him and this woman walk out of her house together. My heart pounded. I had caught him. And the first thing I felt was relief. Relief that I wasn't crazy, relief that I could finally stop questioning myself. And in that moment, I realized something I'd never felt before, that I could trust myself. My intuition had been right all along. So, why am I telling you this whole story? Because it's an example of the shadow and the light of Libra, right? Self doubt is the shadow of Libra, and self trust, trusting our inner knowing, trusting ourselves and who we are, that's the light of Libra, right? So later that day, I packed up my things, I left the state and started the long drive home back to Colorado. And this was the beginning of my real life, right? No longer a victim. I was a woman reclaiming myself. So Mars in Libra provides this type of opportunity, right? It may not be as dramatic as my story, but it's Libra is all about like the reflections we see from our relationships, right? They're the mirrors reflecting back to us what we see and think and know and understand about ourselves. So, what are your relationships reflecting back to you? Is it like good things that make you feel good? Is it self-doubt and stuff that makes you question yourself? Do you need to do some work on yourself? Do your relationships need some work? So, Mars entering Libra is a great time for these types of explorations because Mars is actional. It's the way that we take action, we create change, we're getting motivated. And moving into Libra is motivation, asking for action around our relationships. So if your relationships are not working for you, this week, while Mars is entering Libra, is a great time to just take a moment, journal about that, think about it, kind of lean into where am I at with my relationships and what's working for me or not working for me. So that moment of finally trusting myself changed everything. Not just because I left a toxic relationship, my last toxic relationship, but because I finally started listening to my inner knowing. And that path through healing, deep inner work, and eventually life coaching led me to the work I do now. Because I know what it's like to feel trapped in survival mode, to second guess every instinct, to be overwhelmed, exhausted, and so tangled in trauma patterns, you can't tell what's real anymore. I also know what it's like to come out the other side, stronger, wiser, and finally free. And I'm happy to report I've been in a healthy, loving, trustworthy, no stalking relationship with my husband for nearly 20 years now. And this is what I help my clients do. I combine astrology and coaching to help midlife women clear out the mental and emotional gunk that's been holding them back so they can find peace, balance, and start trusting themselves again. You don't need to stalk anyone in a rental car to reclaim your power. You just need someone to help you find the truth you already carry inside. And Mars in Libra is such a great time to just start connecting and being honest with yourself about where you're at with your relationships. Is everything going great? Great. That's a great time to just feel the gratitude and have that reflection. If there's challenges and issues in certain areas, this is a great time to take action, right? Just starting to be honest with yourself, maybe journaling, kind of leaning into like what's not working and how do I need to trust myself, my inner knowing, to make changes, right? Libra is ultimately seeking like conscious relationships, equal relationships, where that reflection is clear and clean as opposed to a lot of projection or even worse, abuse. So, what's one thing that you can do this week around your relationships? It could be just being more honest about it. It could be expressing gratitude. It could be starting to get some help, something like that. What is one small step that you can take this week to support yourself and your relationships wherever they're at? And if you're wanting to make changes in your relationships in your life but don't know how, I offer a free Astro Life coaching call to help you work through what's getting in your way using your astrology chart as a potent guide. All right, I will see you next week when Mercury stations direct. It's already happening. The Mercury retrograde is coming to a close. Thanks for watching. I wish you an empowered, sacred feminine week, and I'd love to hear how everything's going in your relationships. So feel free to comment or reply and let me know.